Rusty Saloon is a new gambling website with games such as Roulette, Crash, and many more. You can redeem a free 3 cents every 15 minutes you're on the site, and if you enter my code tomorrow77, you can get a free 50 cents when you sign up. Once you're done, you can go to withdraw and get any skin that you want. The site's for 18 and over, please gamble responsibly, and thank you to Rusty Saloon for sponsoring this video. Hello and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be continuing my 3-part monument guide series. In this video I'm going to be going over some of the tier 3 monuments. I'll be showing you where all the crate spawns are, how to do the puzzles, and a few bonus tips to go along with it. Of course, if you haven't already, you should go see parts 1 and 2 as I go over some general information and I show you how to get the cards which will be used in these monuments. With all that being said, let's get into the video. Starting off with the first monument is Launch Site. It's one of the largest monuments and has access to pretty much everything you need. It's for this reason that it's heavily contested, which can be a good or bad thing depending on your preference. Starting out with the courtyard area, here's a quick map layout of all the crates. They're not 100% accurate, but don't worry, I'll show you them closer anyway. Pretty much all the crates can also spawn as mill crates, and at the top of the main building you'll also find elite crates. And there is one guaranteed mill crate over here. And I know I'm already going to miss crates because, well, look how many there are. And also, the way Rust works is not all the crates will spawn, so even if I pass over an area, there's a good chance that it didn't spawn. However, I will do my best to show you where all the potential spawns are, and with that being said, let's start on the left side of the courtyard. When you first enter, there's a crate there, and then you can crouch jump into this building, and there should be 2 crates in the middle, and if you climb up the ladder, you can make your way over to the roof, and you'll be able to find one more crate at the top. There's a crate over there by the blue car, and if we keep heading forward, there's another building which is known as Recycler Building, with a recycler out the front and a pretty much identical layout. There's 2 crates to the right, and if you enter the doors, there should be a few crate spawns in the middle, and if you climb up to the top, there should be one more. With these crates done, we'll move over to the left side, starting off at the green card room. There'll be 1 crate on the bottom and top floor. Moving over to the silos, behind the middle silo, there should be a crate, and down by this green box, there should be one more. And finally, behind the 3rd silo over here, there should be one more crate spawn. We'll now move into the top left quadrant. Starting off at this water tower, there's a crate at the top. And over here, by the main building, there's another crate on the floor. These 2 blue buildings both have a crate at the top. And we can crouch jump into this building here, and there should be a whole bunch of crates similar to the recycler building. Similar to the other buildings, we can climb the ladder and get on the roof, and from here you can actually parkour your way into this red tower here. At the top you can actually get up to 3 crate spawns, and down the bottom there's also another crate spawn. To do this jump you want to hover yourself all the way to the edge, and then right as you get to the edge you want to do a strafe jump. Note that you're trying to avoid the yellow railing, otherwise it'll knock you back. Alternatively, you could just enter through the front door in order to loot the red building. And if you're on the outside of the wall, you can actually enter here via what's known as the trousie jump. It's a little bit difficult, but once you get used to it, it's really helpful in a lot of situations. The trick to hitting this jump is jumping as soon as you hit the edge of this rock here, and if you look up it does help as well. If we move on to the bottom right corner, there's a crate on this truck here, and then if we go over to here, there's a guaranteed milk crate. To get to it you need to do a little bit of parkour. All you have to do is jump on these stacked crates here, and then jump when you get to the edge of this overhang. Don't worry, the barbed wire won't hurt you, you can land on top of it and then easily get the crate. If we enter that same building, you can turn right into the vents, and at the end of the first vent you should find a crate spawn, and if you go up the ladder, there'll be another crate spawn in this building. Open the door and there'll be one more on the outside. Continue your journey to the outside railing and keep running along until you get to this spot here. There's a hidden crate underneath it. If you turn to your right, just over by the side, there's also another one on the floor. Moving to the top right corner, we have a familiar red building which has a crate spawn at the top. If you run back over here, there should be another crate hidden underneath this ramp, and if you jump over to these blue containers, there should be one more crate there. Jump down into the fuse room and there'll be a crate next to where you enter the fuse. Follow the vents all the way across, and there should be another crate right here next to the entrance. Keep going all the way up the stairs, and through the door is one crate, and if you turn around, right into this office compartment here is another crate. Exit that building and there's one more by the forklift. All we have left now is the main building, which is hidden behind a puzzle. To do this puzzle, you need a red and green card, 2 fuses, 100 cloth, a rad suit, and optional water and meds. Head down to the green card room, swipe the card, enter the fuse, and flick the switch. It's from this position that you need to get to the other fuse room, which is located diagonally across the front courtyard. You can either go the long way on the outside, or you can cut across the middle. Just be wary of Bradley and other players. Once you get to the side, enter the second fuse, flick the switch, make sure that all the buttons are green, and you can run over to the main building and swipe your red card. Usually I just run to the center and just climb up all of the ladders. There's a crate spawn at the top, and then you can jump over and follow this path that I'm doing here. There is one jump here where you need to mine the gap. And when you get to this crate turn right here, there's 2 guaranteed mill crates at the top, which I usually grab. And then once you're done with them, you just want to head to the outside and find your way to the top roof. Keep in mind that you have to constantly be drinking water and bandaging, as you will lose health to radiation. At the top you'll find 3 elite crates, 2 mill crates, and a couple of brown crates scattered around the area. When you're done, you can head your way back down, and if you want to get that crate on the way back, you can jump on the railing and do so like this. Then from this point you can pretty much just hug the wall, and as long as your fireman's poling down the sides, you won't take any fall damage. When you get to the bottom, you need to find the power room, which is close to the door where we entered. Flick the switch and you'll be able to open the doors to exit. There's also a crate over here. Credit goes out to Alvaro for this trick, but you can actually hug this wall over here and not take any fall damage. From here you can just slide your way off of launch site. He did state that it was a little bit inconsistent, so do it at your own risk. And again, from Alvaro, you can AFK in the power room without getting radiation as long as you hug the corner. This is really good on max pop servers, especially on wipe day, because you can just freely camp the crate spawns and throw the loot down to your friends. Moving on to the second part of launch site, most of these crates can spawn as mill crates, but there are no elite crates. Starting off in the bottom right corner, this green shed has a crate outside, and on the opposite corner there's a tall tower with an oil refinery, and the close tower also has a crate spawn in the middle. If we keep moving along, there's 2 more green sheds with crates in them. And if you keep running forward, you get to the underground area. Right here is where you would do the parkour later. And I kind of jump around a bit in the recording, but you want to run around this circle and exit over here. And keep following this tunnel and it'll lead you to a green shed with a crate in it. From there you can turn around and enter the sewers. If you turn left you'd be able to exit, but if we keep following the pipes and stick on the right side, we'll eventually make it to another spot which has 2 crates. You can either exit by turning around, or if you keep going forward you'll eventually make it down to the bottom area. Next we'll go to the tall rocket, just climb up the ladders, and then there'll be a lift on either side. You just click E and the lift will take you all the way to the top. There's a couple of ways to do this. The way I usually do it is if you're quick enough, you can get out at each floor, but keep in mind that the lift will start going down, so you just need to loot and then quickly run back into the lift every single floor. If you do get stuck at the top, however, you can parkour your way down. It's not too difficult, but you will lose a little bit of HP with this method. And credit to Zprots, there's actually a quicker way down from the top. If you just hug this corner here, you can fireman's pole all the way down. Right next to the rocket ship, you'll find a little hole where you can do the parkour. All you have to do is drop down and then jump over here. Then continue to run and jump over to the beams. And open the door, and inside you'll find a bunch of crates. There's switches and electricity that go along with it, but you can just open the doors anyway. And when you're done, you can slide down here or go back the way you came and slide down over there. And there's also 2 crate spawns at the bottom. And the main reason that launch site is so good is because of Bradley. Bradley's loot is insane even on vanilla, and you can easily take it with only 7 HV rockets or 40 grenades if you don't have the BPs. Throwing the grenades is a little bit tricky because you do have to lead them a little bit, but after you do it a couple of times on a practice server you should have no trouble repeating it. The only thing you really need to watch out for is counters, and the only advice I can really give you is just go to the top of recycler building, and as long as you keep jumping to keep aggro on Bradley, he shouldn't be able to rocket you. The further back you're standing the better, and if you can see his path, throw the grenade directly in front of him. When you do finally kill him, he'll show up on the map, so definitely expect counters, and similar to Heli Crate, you have to wait a little bit for the fire to go out. When you're defending the loot, you want to get some decent hold spots. The main 2 spots are on the recycler building and the one right next to it. You can also gyro or boost onto this building over here, and there's 3 silos and a watchtower which are pretty decent as well. Another sneaky spot is you can actually fly onto these really tall towers over here. Even though there's nothing in the middle, you can actually stand there. Just keep in mind that you can't stand on the edges, and they treat this spot like the top of launch tower, so you need a rad suit, and even then you're still going to be getting some rads. And speaking of rads, this monument's really strict when it comes to radiation. Even building anywhere near it, you still need at least 10 rad protection. The only spots where you'll need 25 are around the rocket here, and then of course you're going to need a rad suit to do the main building. Up next we have mill tunnels. It's a much more simple monument, but it does have a lot of scientists, which are a good and bad thing for different reasons. Over here in this little shed you'll find a recycler and either a food or med crate. Up next we make our way over to the bridge to kill the very first scientist. A really good trick is to farm the early game scientists with crossbows, as they drop green cards and they can be very helpful in the wipe, even if you don't plan on running the entire monument. After the first scientist kill, we make our way down into the tunnels, killing every single scientist that we see. I could describe the AI to you, but you'll probably learn a lot better from practicing yourself. A few things to watch out for are that scientists can and will rush you, so just be wary of that. If you're playing in groups, it's always good to have one person reloading whilst the other one holds. Another thing to note is that they do throw F1 grenades, so make sure you're listening out for them, and when you hear it, reposition. And obviously this footage is in God mode. On a normal server, you want to take it very slow, peeking and covering when you need to. And just like any other scientist, you can bring a bone knife to harvest them to get cloth. After you've killed the first couple of scientists, make your way to the right and enter this room where you'll find 2 crates and you can input a fuse. Once you input that fuse, you'll be on a timer, so if you're solo, it's probably a better idea to, instead of turning right, go left first and clear out all of these scientists. If you're in a group, you can do both at the same time, and once you've cleared out all the scientists, you want to turn left and you'll see the green card room over here. Once you've cleared out all the scientists in the area, you can run all the way back or have someone camping the fuse room, enter the fuse and flick the switch, then make your way back down towards the green card room and swipe the green card. You have a decent amount of time, but not enough time to clear out all the scientists if you're solo. Inside you'll find a crate as well as the scientists, and over here you can flick the switch, which will allow you to go further into the puzzle. To the left there's a mine which will have a crate spawn inside of it, but the door will close on you, so make sure you have a friend behind it. Similar to before, you might want to have someone camping the green card room while the rest of your group clears out the middle. But if you're solo, you might want to clear out the middle first. There's a whole cluster of scientists around the middle, so take this part slow, but once you do kill them all, you'll be able to loot the middle trailer, which should have a bunch of elite crates. Keep in mind that you'll need 25 rad protection or more to continue moving forward, and when you do so, you'll want to swipe your blue card at the room, enter, kill a scientist, flick a switch and swipe your red card. Inside you'll find a bunch more scientists as well as more elite crates and regular crates. To exit, you can either go out the way you came in, or when you first enter you can turn right and you'll find a door which will allow you to exit via a different point. There'll be a few more scientists along the way, but once you make it to this area here, you can either climb up the ladder and go out the mine, or you can climb straight out the top. Keep in mind that scientists make a lot of noise, so switching up your exit points is crucial for staying alive from counters. Keep in mind that scientists drop a lot of green cards, and if you have the inventory space, you should definitely hold on to them, as you can sell them at Bandit Camp for 15 scrap each. Next up we have oil rig. To take it you'll either need a boat or a minicopter, or if you're dedicated enough you can even get there on flippers or a boogie board. If you're new to this monument, I'd recommend staying away from the minicopter dropping in, because you get rushed by all the scientists at the top. You can take it a lot slower if you park a boat about 50 meters off from the dock, as this way the scientists won't really be able to hit you, but you'll be able to shoot them. You can even kill them with a compound bow if you're early into wipe. You don't need to kill all of them from this position, but the more damage you do now, the easier it'll make your push. Once you've killed all the scientists that you can see, you can make your way up to the dock. Similar to other scientists, you can farm them with a combat knife or bone knife in order to get their cloth, which can be very helpful in the early stages of wipe when you don't have many meds. Keep making your way up the floors, killing every scientist that you see. These scientists drop ammo and they don't throw grenades, so they're a lot easier than the mill tunnels ones. Each floor will have barrels as well as med crates or food crates, and the low-grade barrels can be really helpful if you bought a boat or a minicopter. As you start to make your way up to the final floors, you'll start to notice diesel fuel spawning as well as regular crates. And on the second last floor there is a green card room, inside of which we'll have 4 regular crates. If you make your way up to the final floor, there's a few more crate spawns as well as a few diesel spawns, and there's 2 rooms, one where you input a fuse and you can get some guaranteed mill crates, and in the other room you swipe your 2 cards and there'll be a few crates as well as the locked crate. Once you flick the lock crate, there will be a Chinook which will spawn in a bunch of heavy scientists. There's three main ways to take it. You can either jump up on this crane here, you can hide inside of the mill crate building and just peek out, kill one and then close the door, or you can run over to the stairs and just camp the bottom of it. Personally, I like the stairs because you can reposition or jump down to a lower floor if you need to. If you want to spam this monument, you can DC in the fuse room, and then your friends can tell you when the monument has respawned, indicated by the crate on the map, and then you can take the monument all over again from the inside out. The first full floor, here's a really good spot that you can jump up and peek everyone on the dock. This is a really good spot to defend the monument from counters. On this half floor over here, you can actually jump up onto these pipes and surprise the people at the top. To do this jump, you want to go as close to the yellow pipes as possible, jump and then tap W. You can either do it in 2 consecutive jumps, or you can lock yourself into the middle and then slowly do another jump, and once you're up here you'll have a really good angle to peek people who are holding stairs. Alternatively, you could just get a boost and it makes this jump a lot easier. And here's a more advanced jump in order to get to the first full floor. It's a little bit tricky. The only advice I really have is if you're on an angle, you can sprint forward and then flick your mouse up so that you're looking upwards, and this will bring your character slightly higher than if you were to just run and jump normally. Here's a little bit of parkour in order to get to this higher platform over here. It's not super helpful, but it can surprise people if they're countering from below. The fire at the corner of oil rig is extremely hot and can be used to get rid of any wetness. This is extremely useful for when oil rig's in the snow and you accidentally get wet when you're coming over on the boat. Next up is large rig. It has a lot more scientists, but with that comes a lot more loot. Clearing out this monument takes quite a bit of time, and I don't usually recommend taking on this monument solo unless you're extremely geared or a very skilled player. The same strategies applies, so I won't go over it again. Clear out as many scientists as you can and then make your way over to the monument. On the ground floor there's 2 med or food crates, and on level 1 it's just an overhang. There's not too much other than the railing. Moving on to level 2, and you won't find much either except for a few barrels all the way around. I'll just fly around quickly to show you everything. And there's multiple entrances up, but if you go up the stairs to get to level 3 you'll start to get more loot. There's a vent system where you can hide in and move around the floor, and on the opposite side to the side that you docked, you can find a green card room which contains 3 brown crates and another green card. There's also a few crate spawns. As you can see, I'm passing them on level 3s and now onto level 4. The center of level 4 is where you can swipe your blue card and get 4 guaranteed mill crates. Right next to the blue card room you can go up the stairs, and then there's another vent system. There's multiple ways to get to the final floor, but once you make it, you'll find the red card room, which is opposite the helipad, inside of which you'll find the lock crate and a bunch of elite crates and mill crates, and over to this side there's 4 diesel fuel. You can go down these stairs and it connects to another area. Under here in this fence system you can get to what's known as secret with a few more brown crates. My favourite spot to take the heavies from is if you jump up over here. You can jump up here and hold control, and then as soon as you let go of crouch you want to tap spacebar and you should fly up. The 2 cranes are also really good spots to hold from because they have cover and they can peek pretty much the whole of the top floor. And if you have a mini, you can land on top of the top dome. This is really good for taking heavies, and it's especially good for dealing with counters. Of course, there's hundreds of little nifty ways that you can parkour throughout the monument and skip some of the stairs. Most of the time this is used to get an unexpected advantage on your opponent, but keep in mind that you do make a lot of noise when you're jumping around. If you have a computer station at your base, you can enter all of the camera codes and actually see oil rig from your base. All of the codes will be in the description, but if you set them all up, you can get multiple cameras. If you swim up to oil rig, you can poke the scientists on the dock with a melee tool and they won't be able to fire back at you. Both oil rigs have an alarm system, so when someone does them, they will send out a signal to these specific frequencies. If you have a pager, you can set it to this frequency and it will make noise as soon as someone starts to do the oil rig. You can even leave the pager inside of your box at base and it will still make noise. And if you have an RF receiver, you can use it to set up a pretty simple circuit which can either flash lights or turn on an alarm. And finally we have large excavator. You can only really run this monument a lot if you spam oil rig or dome because you need diesel fuel to run it. It's a decent monument, but it's really easy to get grubbed because you need to hold the 2 collection points, plus you need to guard your fuel. It requires 10 rads to get in, and there's no areas where there's any more radiation. To run the monument, you'll want to snipe at the scientists from far away. You can do the same with pistols or even a SAR, because the scientist range is about the same as oil rig. If you stand about 50 meters back, they shouldn't really tag you too much. The loot of the scientists is similar to that of oil rig, as they do give you back ammo. Once you've killed a decent amount, you want to run to the center. Keep in mind I'm in god mode, so you want to be a little bit more cautious with your approach. And once you do get to the center, down here you'll find a recycler, and see this large tank here, this is where you want to input your diesel fuel. Then click on this control panel to start up the engine, and you want to make your way up. The reason we're doing so is because you need to make it to the arm of the monument. Follow the path I'm taking here, and once you make it to the arm, and choose the resource that you want. You have an option between high qual metal, regular metal, stone, and sulfur, all of which will be given to you in ore form. Then you want to make your way back down to where you entered from and run over to the collection points. You can only choose one at a time, but here are the stats of what you'd get for a stack of diesel fuel for each one of the resources. And you can get diesel fuel from the oil rigs or from Dome, and you can even buy it from Outpost for low grade. There are 2 collection points. This one's quite easy to get to, as you can just loot it from the ground here. However, if you run across to the other one, it's what me and my group call the scary collection point, because it's a really good spot for people to just camp in the middle with the DB. When you're running up, you should always look through this gap here to see if anyone's camping inside of it. Alternatively, there's another route you can go. If you jump onto the conveyor belt, you can actually ride all the way to the top and you'll get a really good shot at anyone who's camping inside. If you drop down, you will take a little bit of fall damage, or you can land on the ladder from either side and you won't take any fall damage. If you run back to the middle recycler room, you can make your way up to the very top of Excavator and then run along the other arm, and you'll get a really good vantage point where you can scout out for enemies trying to steal from the collection points. This is a really good spot to scout out for enemies, however it is a little bit of a pain because you are moving, so your shots will be a little bit inaccurate as there will be a massive amount of sway. Large Excavator's frequency is 4777, so just like oil rig, you can set up an alarm or use a pager to be notified when someone else is running the monument. There's not too many crate spawns on this monument because the main thing you come here is for the resources. However, there are a couple. I don't run this monument that much, so apologies if I do miss some. And I will just be showing off where the brown and green crates are. There are also primitive and food crates scattered around the monument too, and there's a lot of barrels, especially on the hill behind the monument. There's usually a crate spawn on the platform right here, and if we turn around there's one more on the ground. If we keep going up this part of the building, I do believe there's 2 crate spawns, one at the bottom of these stairs and one we're halfway up. If we go all the way to the very top, there's also another crate spawn there, and if we go around to the stairs on the other side, there's also a crate tucked away there. There's another crate that usually spawns in the recycler room, and if you just go to the outside, there's 2 more crates there. And there's one more crate spawned down by these trucks. And that's it for the tier 3 monuments. I'll now go over the safe monuments. When you're inside of a safe monument, no matter what, you can't take damage. You can't log off in these monuments, however. And if you've recently committed a crime, you'll get a red marker which will tell you the cooldown before you can enter the monument again. If you disobey and run directly towards the monument with this red timer still on, you'll get gunned down. The timer will start at 1 minute for minor offences such as shooting at players outside of the monument, but once you get tagged by the monument once, it'll increase to 30 minutes, or if you shoot at someone inside of a safe zone, it goes to 30 minutes straight away. There's 4 different safe zones, one of which is Bandit Camp, where you can safely recycle. You can also gamble here and spend money to buy different items. You can also buy a minicopter and a large scrap heli. Next up is Outpost. It has an additional 2 recyclers, a research table. You can also buy stuff at vending machines, and both Outpost and Bandit Camp have these drone purchasing services over here. And from these locations you can purchase anything from a vending machine and send a drone out to go collect it for you. At the fishing village you can buy the 2 different types of boats, and you can also buy diving gear and other aquatic items. And at the horse ranch you can purchase a horse and some equipment to go along with it. And that is the end of the video. There's a lot of stuff I covered, so there's a good chance that I made mistakes with crates and different things like that, so if there's any updates I will leave it in a pinned comment, and if there's any extra information that you guys can give me, feel free to let me know. I'll leave it in the pinned comment as well if I think it's important. The YouTube channels that I credited, I will leave it down in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one.